Hi guys, and welcome back to the Library of Alexandria. And today, guys, if I remember how to do this, I'm going to be bringing you my May TBR. It is the 10th of May, and I'm giving you my TBR. So, before I begin that and say, without wasting any more time, just kind of an update, a life update. So, you have noticed that other than like productivity sprants that I have learned to love over the past month or so, I have not posted a lot, and that is my fault. And it's not really intentional. It's just, if you haven't heard, if you've been on the sprint, you know everything's going on. If you haven't, back in April, I took my students, 24 students, down to Orlando for our state Florida Junior Classical League competition, state Latin competition, whatever. And we killed it. Like, we got second out of 39 schools, which is incredible. The only school that beat us was a private school, and then, man, they destroyed everyone, man. They had been prepping, because it's been really the first in-person convention in 3 years. And we've never gotten second, ever. The highest we've ever gotten, and I've been teaching there 10 years, and I've gone to 6 of them. The highest we've ever gotten is 14. But it was a perfect storm of components working together. Just starting from the leadership of the club, the two seniors who are the presidents, and then the other two officers, one of whom is another senior and one of whom is a junior, one of my best kids in the rising seniors. And just the quality of kid who wanted to do really well, and they not only killed it, like, everyone at the convention, like, I had adults come up to me and be like, hey, your kids are really freaking awesome. Like, Arnold showed up this year. And it was absolutely incredible. It was truly a transformative experience, not only for me, but for... Whoop! Strike that. Reverse it. Not only for my kids, but for me as well. And our Kurtaman team, which is Latin Quiz Bowl, essentially, we have never gone to the finals, ever, because we don't take it seriously enough. Like, I don't drill them and make them come at lunch and try out for the team, etc., etc. But these four kids on my level 2 Kurtaman team made it to advance. And not only made it to advance, not only made it to the finals, they got second place. Like, these private schools are the ones that take Kurtaman super seriously. And man, we wrecked them. And they'd have won if... There's usually a percentage layout of the questions, like there's this many history questions, this many culture questions, this many whatever. There were way too many grammar questions. It was the most grammar-heavy round of Kurtaman that I've seen. If it hadn't been, because, my kids don't know as much grammar as these other kids, because I tend to teach more culture, history, mythology than really most of the teachers I know, Latin teachers I know. If there hadn't been so many grammar questions, they'd have taken it. Oh, it was beautiful. And it was such a bonding experience with these kids, and, like, I don't know, tears all around. And they kind of broke down the barrier that I had up between them, like, being, like, standoffish and like, hey, good job, to where, I was able to express my emotions towards the kids, which is not something that I've done in years. So it was really freaking cool. And since then, we've all been kind of a state hangover, and we've all just been kind of in a funk. And then April ended, and we were like, man, April was a good freaking month. And it was. And I've been just spending a ton of time at school, getting a lot more work done. I have been getting like a ton more work done because I've just been spending a lot of time with the kids and a lot of time, at school. And so I'm doing work while I'm at school and stuff. And I just have wanted to watch TV and play video games, and I just haven't wanted to read. And it's not that anything I was reading was bad, I just haven't wanted to read it all. And so that's really kind of where I've been away, and because I only have X amount of hours in the day, and I can only attend to so many things, so I feel bad that I haven't been in the Discord, I haven't been community building as much as I want. That's why I've been doing the sprants, because some community building I can do without having to, the thought of editing, sitting down editing a video, just, it sends me into anxiety. So that's kind of where I've been. In April, I read one book, and it was only part of a book. I finished Grave Peril, which I started in March. That's what I did in April. That's it. I did a bunch of crosswords, because crosswording has just become also this meaningful endeavor associated with state and fending off anxiety while we're waiting as we heard our name be called. Because I told them I'd give them something if we broke top 10. That's all I wanted, break top 10. And then they called 11, and it wasn't us. And they called 10, and it wasn't us. And I was like, surely we made the top 20. And then they called 9, and it wasn't us. 8, wasn't us. 7, 6, still wasn't us. They called 5, and it wasn't us. And Christina has a video somewhere of us listening to them calling it out, and it's just panic. Like, what? Like, what do you mean they called 5 and it wasn't us? They called 4 and it wasn't us. They called 3 and it wasn't us. And I knew we hadn't won. There's no way we won. But then they called 2 and it was us, and we just lost it. I've never seen anything like it. It was absolutely a miracle. Hollywood will make a freaking story, a biopic about this, scrappy Latin team from Panama City, Florida, that came and took second at the convention. And I will be played by Adam Scott from Parks and Rec. And my kids will be played by 20-year-olds because that's who plays teenagers in shows and movies. Anyway, so that's where I've been. I feel really bad because there's so many of you who subscribe, and I thank you so much for your patience. I really do. And all of you who support me on Patreon, thank you guys so much. And this is my attempt to get back into the swing. I have read this month. I have read more this month than I did. I've read twice as much this month already than I've read last month, as far as pages. So I'm trying to get back into the swing, trying to brush off, shake off some of those cobwebs. And so hopefully this will be back to the regular posting. Hopefully all I needed was just that kind of month off to do a soft reset. It's actually my BookTube birthday this month. My very first video was posted in May of 2020. So hopefully this gets back into it. So, without wasting any more time, let's get down to business. Let's talk about the books that I'm going to read in May. Now, this is going to be really short because, I'm slowly getting back into it, and I don't know how much I'm going to do, but let's go ahead and get it started. The first book I'm going to be reading is Boosh, and this is The Daughter of Redwinter by Ed McDonald. This is book 1 of the Redwinter Chronicles. So this is an arc, and so I have to read this one. This one is coming out in June. Ed McDonald wrote the Ravensmark series. Blackwing is the first one. Still haven't read the second one. Oh, I need to so bad, though. So I am reading this with Leanna over at Leanna's Library because she is a huge Ed McDonald fan, and we both got ARCs for this, and so we're definitely going to read it this month. This is about a girl named Rain who can speak to the dead, and she helps some injured woman one day who's almost dead in the snow, but it turns out she escaped from Redwinter, which is this fortress of warrior magicians who don't let anybody escape, and I guess stuff ensues. But I really like Ed McDonald as a writer. This book it's 400 pages or less. Ed McDonald, he posts, if you haven't seen his Twitter, you should. He posts a lot of writing tips, and one of his things is, he doesn't like to write really big door-stopper books. So it'll be short. I really love Blackwing. I've got to finish that series. So I will definitely be reading this one because I gotta get a friggin' NetGalley rating out so that they don't boom, 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 punch me in the face. So I'll definitely be reading that, and I guess Leanna and I might talk about it. Is that what we're doing, Leanna? Leanna, are we going to talk about it afterwards, or are we just reading it together? We might talk about it, so stay tuned. If we talk about it, it'll be on my channel, so stay tuned. I'll let you know. Next on the list, we have Boosh, The Thousand Names by Django Wexler. This is book 1 of the Shadow campaigns, and this kicks off our new read-along on my channel, the Shadow campaigns read-along? Question mark? This is a 5-book series, and is a Flintlock fantasy, and it is, to me, the best example of Flintlock fantasy that's out there, or the most, of the 2 most accessible ones, the most well-known ones, being Powder Mage by Brian McClellan, and this one is the better one, in my opinion. I haven't finished reading Powder Mage, but this book 1 is way better than Promise of Blood, at least in my opinion. So this, the cover doesn't... This book starts out very different than it actually ends up, and there are some things that I don't love in this series, but I think books 1 through 4 especially are really, really good, especially books 3 and 4. Just fantastic. This is Sharp meets, Constantine. Not Constantine the emperor who ruins everyone's lives, but Constantine, John Constantine, demons and stuff. It's exceptional. The main character, there's basically 3 main characters. Winter Earnglass, who is a woman pretending to be a man because she grew up in the streets and was trying to escape her life, so she joined the British military. I don't know what they're actually called. It's the freaking British military, and she earns herself a sergeant. And so she starts having to command troops and also keep the secret that she's a woman. And then we have Marcus DeVore, I think, who is a captain in this army. And they're in the desert. It reminds me a lot of Wellesley's India campaign. And because they're trying to beat the savages. It's very colonial. And then the other character, who is not a POV character, is, I think it's just Marcus and Winter for POVs. But there's Janice Betvalnich, who I love. A brilliant, genius strategist who has more behind his mind than you think is going on, and he has plan on top of plan, and I love Janice, and I always forget about Janice when I'm talking about brilliant characters, but Janice really sold this series for me. Book 2 is slightly different. Book 2 gets us off the battlefield more and into the political machinations of, like, the capital, and so it is different. And in book 3 and 4, I will say Django Wexler knows how to write a war scene very well. I mean, it's not Cornwell. No one's Cornwell, but it's just fantastic. They are brutal and bloody and savage. It is really good. So we are reading this currently on my server. It is kind of long. It's 600 pages, which violates the year of the short book. I don't like that, but I have read this before, so hopefully it'll go quickly. So please come check this out on my server. The Discord server, and we'll be having a discussion, me and 3 other people. I don't know who's going to do that yet. I'm so behind, guys. I apologize. But we will have a discussion about this book, so please come check that out, and we'll be reading 1 a month till we're done. Next on the list, Boosh, The Widow's House by Daniel Abraham, book 4 of The Dagger and Coin, and look how far I am in it already. So, I have so many obligations that I need to catch up on, so I shouldn't be reading this, but I'm reading it anyway. And this is because I started reading this because this is the book I most wanted to read, and I thought it would kickstart, you know, you try to start a lawnmower, like, there's no lawnmower in the history of the world that starts on 1 pull. You gotta give it like 3 pulls. That's what this is. So I started reading it, and lo and behold, it kind of like greased the wheels, and now I've been making sure I'm reading some every day. This is book 4 out of 5. I can't really talk about it because it spoils a whole bunch of crap. But the character work in here is just, it's really on par with everything else Abraham does. It's so good. And again, we see how are wars fought. They're fought with both blades and coin. Very good. I'm enjoying this book. 2 has been my favorite so far. There's a lot of war in this book, so we get to see Abraham cut his chops on some fantasy warfare, which I like. So I'm almost done with this, and then I'm going to move on to Shadow Campaigns and the other obligation that I have this month. Next on the list, Boosh, The Tiger and the Wolf, and look at that gorgeous cover. It's gorgeous. By Adrian Tchaikovsky, and this is book 1 of the Echoes of the Falls trilogy. This is another one of his fantasy series. I've not read any of Tchaikovsky's sci-fi except Ogres and, Ogres isn't sci-fi, never mind. So, Elder Race. So, this is about shapeshifters. I think there's 2, it's called The Tiger and the Wolf, because I think there's 2 clans, one that can turn into tigers, one that can turn into wolves, and her dad is a wolf, and her mom's a tiger. Gasp. She's a half-breed. And I don't know really anything past that. I think this is loosely, like, distant future of the kind of Shadows of the Apt world. But I don't think you have to finish Apt to read this. I really want to read book 5 of Apt, because this is long also. This is also 600 pages. What is going on? I'm twice violating the year of the short book. But I am reading this with, I thought it was June, but it's not. It's this month. I will be reading this with my wonderful friend Jessie over at Jessie May. This will be the first time she's returned to host a Shelf Space book pick since she stepped down as kind of the person who runs the Shelf Space Book Club, so I'm super excited. I haven't done a month with Shelf Space in a hot minute, so I'm excited to get to do one. I asked Jessie, hey, wouldn't it be fun if you came back? So Jessie and I will be reading that, so you can definitely expect to see another live show with her and I talking about that. Please join us with Tiger and the Wolf. If you've been looking for an excuse to jump into Tchaikovsky or read something that isn't, one of his standalones or a sci-fi book, come join us. I hope it's good. I really like Tchaikovsky. I haven't read anything by him that I don't like, but I've just read his novellas, or some of his novellas, and Apt, and Guns of the Dawn. So we'll see if I end up loving this as well. So that is all the books that I have so far lined up. If I finish these, if something happens, like school does end this month, so I might have some time like afterwards. If it does, if I do have more time, then I will definitely probably, I should have added that in here. I'll probably be reading some Parker, because Zara and I are like, you know, like fiending for some Parker. So I probably will read Blue and Gold and at least Devil You Know, at least those first two again. The two Salininus books, so that we can read some Parker. I definitely won't be able to get a novel, but I'll definitely read at least those. It won't take me long. And after that, God Is Not Willing, which I definitely have to get done, so I can have a freaking talk with Jimmy and Joanna about it. I'm so behind. And then Shards of Honor, which was a patron pick. I hope it's not another Tagana situation where it took me 6 months to actually finish Tagana, but I just didn't read anything in April, and that has put me so behind, and I'm sad. So, that is what I will be reading. Now, before I let you go, let me go ahead and make another announcement as far as the Shelf Space Book Club is concerned over in the Shelf Space Discord. That'll be linked down in the description. For June, our host will be Evie at She Was Only Evie, and her co-host will actually, it's going to be the 2 months of 2 co-hosts. It's the 2 month of 3s. So, in June, it will be Evie, and her co-host will be Lana from Lore and Lullabies, as well as Stephanie from Miss Richard Reads, and they will be reading Memory Called Empire by Arcady Martin, and that's book 1 of the, I could not pronounce that unless I had it in front of me, but it is book 1 of a sci-fi duology. The second one is A Desolation Called Peace. So that'll be on Evie's channel in June, and then in July, it is another 3-fer, only this time it will be on Kate, over at the Literary Apothecaries channel, and it will be Kate and Evie and Stephanie again, and they will be reading A Natural History of Dragons by Lady Trent, which is by Marie Brennan. And that's book 1 of a series of, like, Natural History of Dragons books. I've heard good things about both of those books. I have not read either of them, but you should definitely make sure you check those out on those months and go join them for both the read-along in the Discord and the live show on the respective months. Come join the Library of Alexandria server and join us in the Shadow campaigns, the Shadmay campaigns, the Mado campaigns. Who knows? So guys, I'm glad I'm back. Hopefully you are also glad that I am back. I'm gonna post more. I promise. This is mine vow. At any rate, guys, what are you guys reading in May? Are you going to join Shadow Campaigns? You totally should. Have you read Shadow Campaigns? And if you have, come check out the live show for sure. Guys, thank you guys so much for watching. As always, information about my Patreon and Discord is down in the description, and I'll see you next time, guys.